G'day guys, on the eve of Australia's Strongest Man and Woman, I thought I would come on here and bring you my predictions for the weekend. Now the men's video is in another clip. I've done each of them on their own. So if you do want to go over and see my men's predictions, head over to that video on my channel. This will be the women's predictions. So what I'm going to start with is introducing all the women. Then I'm going to give you a rundown of each event, how I think the top 3 or 4 will go. And then I think I'll give you a prediction at the end of who I think will wind up on the podium. Starting off with introducing the women. First up, we have Jo Kimitonga. We then have Camilla Fogagnolo, both representatives at the Australia's Strongest International Pro Show. We follow that with Nick White and Katie Blunden, who put on the best show at that Australia's Strongest International Pro Show when they went almost to the death on a front carry. We then have Megan Clark, who was 3rd place at that pro show against some of the best strongwomen in the world, at under 82 kilos, because she then competed the next day. She's mad, she's wild. Anyway, we've got Ellie Smith, we've got Ari Mann, who both competed at that AS International on the Saturday, where they did really well as well. And we have coming in Nicole Jenrich. Now, she's previously Australia's Strongest Woman, relinquished her title to spend some time off having a child, and now she's back only about 6 or 7 months after having a child, which is also wild and crazy. And then we've got Rebecca Chesham rounding out the field. Now, this is one of the most competitive fields I think we've ever seen. We're missing a couple. We're missing Ali Clare, who unfortunately tore her bicep. So if you're watching, all the best, Ali, with your recovery. I hope to see you back in 2024 to fight for that title and try and take it off whoever wins it this year. But aside from Ali, this is a really, really stacked field. It's awesome to see, and I think this will be tighter than the men. So as we go through each event, let me know how you think things are going to go as well in the comments. We're starting off with the yoke race. Now, this tends to favour the heavy athletes, the athletic type athletes. So I've got Jo Kimitonga doing really well, ex-rugby player. She's just a brute. You run it straight, Jo. Let's go. And I think she'll do really well in this event. She's got the technique for it, she's got the speed, and she's just got that animal drive. You then go to Big G. I think Big G will do really well in this event. She's got some height behind her, so a big stride length. She's got some weight behind her. Weight moves weight, mass moves mass when it comes to things like the yoke. We then got Ellie and Beck. I think for Ellie and Beck, they will do really well as well in this event. Both taller athletes, bigger athletes. They will see good results if they can keep their head on and make sure they can actually keep the pick right, the walk right. The taller athletes do tend to have a little bit of an advantage just with that stride length. Moving on to the max axle. Now, I think there is a very clear favourite in this one. I think it's Katie Blunden. She's put up 122.5, I think. That's just massive. That's silly. Following that, I think Big G is always thereabouts. She's put up 110s, I think, in training. She's probably good for 115, 120 on the day if she can get that press right. And coming in 3rd, Megan Clark is always a brute on the overheads. Whether she can get it to her shoulders or not is a different issue. She doesn't have as much of the leverage as some of the other girls when it comes to being able to do that continental clean. Nicole White as well is also a beast with the overheads, very explosive. So if she can get it to her shoulders, I pretty much back her to press it. Number 3, we go into the tie flip. And again, this is one that favours the athletes. So someone like Jo Kimitonga will do really well in this. Being an ex-rugby player, it's really like packing a scrum. So she will have a big advantage in this. Nicole Jenrich, having the biggest reach in the field, wrapping around that tyre, is a really good event for her. And Nicole White is just an animal. I really expect her to just come bull at a gate and just go really wild into that tyre. She's a little bit shorter, which does sort of leave you a little bit of a disadvantage, but I think her absolute fight and fire will get her some points on that event. The last event of day 1, we have the frame hold. Now, Ellie Smith has a really good grip, won the grip event at ASI, so I have her doing really well in this event. We've got the other bigger girls in the field, the taller girls with the larger hands. So we've got Beck and Big G. And I think Megan Clark also won her grip event at ASI, so I expect her to do very well as well. This is just all about who can put up with the most pain. So I wouldn't count out Katie Blunden and Nick White, even though they are some of the shorter athletes, probably with the smaller hands. I wouldn't count them out because they literally almost went until they died at Australia's Strongest. So I would really keep them in mind for my top three. But I think some of the taller girls with the bigger hands might just have that small advantage when it comes to the actual grip strength as opposed to the grit and determination it requires to win that event. Day two, we move on to the deadlift. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. We've seen a lot of them pulling over 200 kilos in training. Ari Mann has pulled over 200 kilos in training for reps. Big G pulling over 200 kilos in training for reps. Katie's pulled a couple of doubles over 200 kilos. And Megan Clark did very well at the Ukrainian deadlift event at ASI. So I'll be very interested to see how all of those girls go. But I think my pick for the winner of the event is Nicole White. She pulled 230 at Raising the Dead, so I really expect her to probably pull the biggest deadlift on the day. But it is day two, so we've got to keep that in mind for how fatigued these athletes are going to be in the legs, in the back, in the lower body, as to how much they're actually going to be able to pull relative to their max. We move on to the stone carry. Megan won this at Australia's Strongest Pro Show, so I expect her to win it again. It's the same stone, so she's got experience on it. And I expect the top three to be rounded out by the other girls that were competing at that show. So I expect Jo Kimitonga and Nicole Jenrich to be in that top three mix, and Camilla Fogagnolo. Okay, Camilla hasn't been mentioned as of yet because she stated in a post that she doesn't feel that she's at top fitness. If I've got that wrong, I apologise, Camilla. But if she isn't at top fitness, I still don't count her out because she is an absolute thoroughbred of the sport and you can never count out a champion like that. So on this event, I think experience comes to the fore. I think those four girls, Jo, Camilla, Big G, and Megan, will be your top four in that event. I think the other girls will have a good run as well, but I think experience comes to the fore with things like that. We then move on to the monster dumbbell. And again, not a lot of girls posting a whole heap of actual numbers, just videos, but I think Katie Blunden is a beast in the overhead press. I really expect her to do well in just about any shoulder-based event. I think Nicole Jenrich as well, Big G, always massive in the overheads, has some big broad shoulders to load that dumbbell onto as well. So it's very important that you get the rack position right. And I think Nicole has been doing it for a long time and she'll get that well done. The other Nicole in the field, Nicole White, also very, very explosive. And again, sometimes these monster dumbbell events don't come down to who's got the strongest shoulders. It's who can get it in the best position and be the most explosive. So Nicole White will definitely put her name in the conversation there. And we move on to the last event. Last event is the stone to shoulder. Now this one, I do expect Camilla Fogagnolo to do really well in. She has big, long arms, and she's one of the best stone lifters on the planet, regardless of body weight. She's an absolute freak. She can pick any size of stone. She has an incredible pick technique as well. And I think she will do very well on this event, regardless of her fitness. She's always going to be a freak stone lifter. We got Nicole Jenrich as well, huge arm span to get around those bigger stones. So I expect her doing very well in this event. And then Katie and Ari, I've seen doing some good stone lifting as well at the ASI. They were pretty neck and neck when it came to the stones on the last event. So I expect Katie and Ari Mann to be doing reasonably well, putting themselves in conversation for that top three on that event. Now, where does that leave us? I've got a very clear winner for this show. We'll start from 3 and move up. I think in 4th place, we'll see Nicole White. I think Nicole will definitely be in the conversation for the top 3. But when it comes to placing top 3, it's again going to be very similar to the men, who loses the least points on their worst events. And I think there's a couple of events Nicole might drop a few on. I have in 3rd place, Jo Kimitonga. Now, Jo does have a few weak events as well, but I think she does make up a few points on Nicole in those weak events compared to the strong events. So it's going to be a real battle. Jo probably won't place first in any events, whereas I have Nicole really fighting for first in a few. But can Jo save points on a few of the weaker events? Can Nicole save points on a few of the weaker events? I think they'll be fighting for 3rd and 4th. I think in 2nd place, we'll see Katie Blunden. I think with a 2 overhead press show, with a lot of good events for Katie, I think we will see her coming in 2nd. She's real hungry. This should be a really good show for Katie. I'm really excited for her to see what she can do in her debut at Australia's Strongest Woman. And our winner As you probably can tell by the amount of times I mentioned her in just about every event, I have her placing within the top 3 or 4 and winning a fair few of them. I think Big G is going to come back. She's going to claim her throne as Queen of Australian Strongwoman. I think we will see her atop the podium in 2023. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you think everything's going to go. And if you're there, come say hi to me. I'll be on the microphone all day. I'll be cheering all these ladies on. I need you guys in the crowd to help me cheer them on even louder. Ladies, please enjoy this. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'll see you guys over the weekend. And if I've said anything you guys think I'm wrong about, come tell me and then prove me wrong on comp day. I want to see you guys putting your best foot forward and really showing me what you've got every single event.